You have 3 seconds to apologize before I break your arm. The words came out of my mouth before I could stop them. The entire restaurant went silent. Forks stopped midair. Conversations died. Even the kitchen noise seemed to pause. The man in front of me, all expensive suit and dangerous eyes, stared at me like I had just spoken a language he didn't understand. His 4 bodyguards tensed. One reached inside his jacket. But it was his eyes that held me. Dark, calculating, with that particular stillness that comes from years of violence. I knew those eyes. Not him specifically, but the type. My father had trained men with eyes like that. What did you just say to me? His voice was low, controlled. Deadly. I didn't flinch. I said apologize. Now. 30 seconds earlier, this man had called me something I won't repeat. A word that made the elderly couple at table 7 gasp. A word that made my coworker Sophie drop an entire tray of glasses. A word that, frankly, told me everything I needed to know about how he saw women. He thought his money and his reputation made him untouchable. He thought walking into Vincent's restaurant with 4 armed men gave him permission to treat people like garbage. He was wrong. My name is Camila Reeves. I'm 26 years old. I work as a waitress in a mid-sized restaurant in a city where organized crime still runs parts of the infrastructure. It's not glamorous work, but it pays my bills while I search for the man who destroyed my family. This is the story of how a single moment of disrespect led me to discover that everything I believed about my father's death was a lie. How the man I thought was my enemy became my greatest ally. And how together we took down someone far more dangerous than either of us imagined. But let me tell you what happened in that restaurant, because that's where everything changed. The Mafia boss, I would learn his name was Dante Kozlov, made a mistake that night. He assumed I was just another waitress. Just another woman he could intimidate with his presence and his vulgar mouth. When he grabbed my wrist to shove me aside, my body moved on instinct. Elbow trap. Wrist twist. Shoulder drop. Knee pin. 4 movements. 2 seconds. He was on the ground with my knee pressed against his shoulder blade and his arm locked at an angle that would snap with just a little more pressure. His men drew their guns. I didn't care. I was staring at the back of his neck where a small tattoo peeked above his collar. 3 intersecting circles. My father's symbol. Who taught you that move? His voice was strained, face pressed against the floor, but there was something in his tone that wasn't anger. It was shock. Recognition. The same man who taught you. I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a whisper only he could hear. My father. Adrian Reeves. He went completely still. Not the stillness of submission, but the stillness of a man whose entire world just shifted beneath him. You're Adrian's daughter. It wasn't a question. His men were shouting, demanding I release him, but he raised his free hand slightly. They stopped. Let me up. Please. I released him slowly, ready to strike again if needed. He stood, brushing off his expensive suit, and for the first time since he walked into this restaurant, he looked uncertain. Your father, he said carefully, watching my face. He saved my life when I was 17. Trained me for 6 years. He was the closest thing I ever had to family. Don't. The word came out sharp. Don't you dare talk about him like you knew him. Like you cared. I did care. I do care. His voice was urgent now. Camila, I heard he died 4 years ago. I sent money to the funeral home. I tried to find you to pay my respects, but you had disappeared. Because the people who killed him were looking for me too. My hands were shaking. I hadn't said these words out loud in years. Because he died protecting me from his own world. From people like you. Not like me. He stepped closer and his men tensed again. Listen to me. I didn't know the details of what happened to Adrian. I was out of the country. By the time I got back he was gone. But if someone killed him, then we need to talk, because that wasn't supposed to happen. Your father had protection. Agreements. Agreements. I laughed, bitter. With criminals? That's supposed to make me feel better. With me. His eyes were intense. Your father taught me everything. Combat strategy, honor. When I took over my organization, I made sure he was untouchable. Anyone who went after Adrian Reeves would answer to me personally. That was the deal. Something in his voice made me pause. He wasn't lying. I had spent 4 years studying people, learning to read deception the way my father taught me. Dante Kozlov believed every word he was saying. Which meant either he was an incredible liar or something else was happening here. If you had an agreement, then how did he die? I asked quietly. That's what I want to know. He glanced around the restaurant. Everyone was still frozen watching us. This isn't the place for this conversation. Come with me. Let me show you something. You think I'm getting in a car with you? I think you want answers more than you want to be safe. He pulled out his phone, typed something, then showed me the screen. It was a photo. My father, younger, standing next to a teenage Dante. Both were smiling. Behind them was a training room I recognized. My father's gym. My throat tightened. Where did you get this? I've kept every photo he ever gave me. Every lesson he wrote down. Every piece of advice. Dante's voice was softer now. Your father was a good man in a bad world, Camila. If someone killed him, they broke every rule that matters. And I want to find out who. I studied his face. The tattoo on his neck. The way he stood, weight balanced, hands loose. My father's teaching in every movement. 1 hour, I said. You get 1 hour to convince me you're not my enemy. He nodded. That's all I need. As we walked toward the door, Sophie grabbed my arm. Camila, are you insane? That's Dante Kozlov. I know who he is, I said quietly. And I think he might be the only person who can help me find the truth. What I didn't know then was that the truth would be so much worse than I imagined. That the person I trusted most had been lying to me for 4 years. And that Dante Kozlov, the Mafia boss I thought was my enemy, would become the only person standing between me and certain death. But that comes later. First, I had to learn that revenge is easy. Justice is complicated. And sometimes the real monster is the one who taught you how to fight them. Dante's car was exactly what you'd expect from a Mafia boss. Black, expensive, bulletproof windows. His driver didn't say a word when we got in. Neither did the 2 bodyguards in the front seats. We drove for 20 minutes through the city. I watched the streets pass, my hand resting on the small knife I kept strapped to my ankle. Dante noticed but didn't comment. Where are we going? Finally asked. Somewhere your father knew well. He was looking at his phone, typing rapidly. Somewhere safe. Safe for who? He looked up at that, and for the first time I saw something like respect in his eyes. You're just like him. He never trusted anyone either. He trusted the wrong person. That's why he's dead. Maybe. Dante put his phone away. Or maybe whoever killed him wanted you to think it was someone from my world. Have you considered that? I had considered it. For 4 years I had considered every possibility. The problem was I only had one real lead. One name that kept appearing in my father's final notes. Peter. My uncle. My father's oldest friend. The man who held me at the funeral while I cried. The man who helped me disappear afterward, who gave me money and contacts and promised to keep me safe. The man I was supposed to meet tomorrow to finally get answers about who killed my father. But I wasn't going to tell Dante any of that. Not yet. The car pulled up to a warehouse in the industrial district. Old brick, small windows, the kind of place that could hide anything. Dante got out first, and his men formed a protective circle as we walked to the entrance. Inside, the warehouse had been converted into something else entirely. Training mats covered the floor. Weapons lined the walls. Punching bags hung from reinforced beams. And in the center of it all was a memorial. My father's photo. Larger than life. Surrounded by candles and flowers and weapons. My knees went weak. I built this 6 months after he died. Dante's voice was quiet behind me. Every man in my organization comes here to train. They learn the same principles Adrian taught me. Discipline. Respect. I walked closer to the memorial. The photo was one I had never seen before. My father in his prime, maybe 40 years old, in the middle of a training session. Focused. Powerful. Alive. He talked about you constantly, Dante said. His daughter, who was going to be stronger than any of his students. Smarter. Better. He was so proud of you. Don't. The word came out broken. Don't do this. I'm not trying to manipulate you, Camila. I'm trying to show you that I loved your father too. That his death hurt me. That finding who killed him matters to me just as much as it matters to you. I turned to face him. Then tell me what you know. All of it. Dante gestured to a small office at the back of the warehouse. Come on. The office was sparse. A desk, 2 chairs, a laptop, and a wall covered in papers and photos. A murder board. My father's murder board. I've been investigating for 4 years, Dante said, sitting behind the desk. The official story was that Adrian died in a car accident. But I never believed it. Your father was too careful. Too skilled. So I started digging. He pulled up a file on the laptop and turned it toward me. Police reports. Witness statements. Photos of the crash scene. The car was tampered with, I said immediately, scanning the documents. Brake lines cut. This wasn't an accident. Exactly. But here's what's interesting. He clicked to another file. The mechanic who worked on the car that day. He disappeared 2 weeks later. The police officer who filed the initial report transferred to another city within a month. The witness who called 911 paid off and relocated. I leaned closer to the screen. Someone cleaned up. Someone with resources. Someone with serious connections. Dante pulled up another document. I tracked the money. The payoffs came from 3 different shell corporations. It took me 2 years to trace them back to their source. And they're all owned by the same person. He paused, watching my face carefully. Viktor Volkov. The room tilted slightly. My uncle. Your father's best friend, Dante said softly. His training partner. The man who helped him build his entire network. No. I stood up, backing away from the desk. No, you're wrong. Viktor loved my father. He's been helping me. He's the one who's been trying to find the killer. Has he? Dante stood too, moving slowly like he was approaching a wounded animal. Or has he been keeping you close so he can monitor what you know? My mind was racing. Viktor had been there for everything. The funeral. The safe houses. The money. He checked in with me every few months, always asking the same questions. What did I remember? Had I found anything in my father's belongings? Did I know who my father was working with before he died? I thought he was being protective. But what if he was being careful? Why would Viktor kill his own best friend? I asked, but my voice was shaking. I don't know yet. Dante pulled up more files. But look at this. 3 months before your father died, they had a major disagreement. Multiple witnesses say they saw them arguing. Shouting. Your father said something about a betrayal. About trust being broken. What kind of betrayal? That's what I've been trying to figure out. He showed me a series of financial records. Around that same time, a large sum of money went missing from an operation they ran together. Almost $3 million. Your father thought Viktor stole it. Viktor claimed it was seized by the feds. But I checked. No federal seizure on record. I sat down heavily in the chair. 4 years. 4 years of grief and rage and planning. 4 years of trusting Viktor to help me find justice. And he might have been the one who killed my father all along. There's more, Dante said. 2 weeks ago, I finally got access to Viktor's private communications. He's planning something big. Something that requires eliminating loose ends. What kind of loose ends? The kind that knows too much about what really happened 4 years ago. Dante's eyes met mine. You, Camila. He's planning to kill you. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. When? My voice was barely a whisper. I don't know exactly. But he's been positioning people. Getting ready. I think that's why he's been staying in touch with you. Waiting for the right moment. I thought about tomorrow's meeting. Viktor had insisted we meet at his estate. Private. Secure. Just the 2 of us. The perfect place for an execution. He invited me to his house tomorrow, I said. Said he had new information about my father's death. Dante's face went dark. You can't go. Of course I'm going. I stood up, feeling my father's training kick in. The clarity that comes with a clear target. But not the way he expects. Camila, listen to me. Viktor is dangerous. He's been in this world longer than both of us combined. He has resources, connections, an entire network of killers. You can't take him on alone. Then it's a good thing I won't be alone. I looked at him directly. You said you loved my father. You said you wanted justice. Prove it. Help me take Viktor down. Dante was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. Then he nodded slowly. Hey. But we do this smart. We do this careful. Viktor isn't just going to confess because we show up with evidence. I know. I moved to the murder board, studying the connections. We need more than evidence. We need leverage. Something he values more than his own life. He doesn't value anything more than his own life. Everyone values something. I turned back to Dante. We just have to find out what. Over the next 3 hours we planned. Dante showed me everything he had gathered. Financial records, communications, witness testimonies, a complete picture of Victor's organization and how it worked. My uncle, I learned, was not just a criminal. He was an architect of criminal empires. He brokered deals between families, laundered money for cartels, arranged hits for the highest bidder. And he did it all while maintaining the image of a loyal, honorable man. My father must have discovered something. Something big enough that Victor couldn't risk letting him live. There's one more thing you should know, Dante said as we reviewed the final details. Victor has someone working inside my organization. A spy. I don't know who yet, but information keeps leaking. Plans keep getting compromised. So we can't trust anyone in your crew. Not until we find the leak. He looked frustrated. It's made investigating Victor almost impossible. Every time I get close, he knows I'm coming. I thought about that. About how Victor always seemed to know everything. About how he had people everywhere. What if we use that against him? I said slowly. What if we feed the spy false information? Make Victor think he knows our plans when really he's walking into a trap. Dante's eyes lit up. You really are Adrian's daughter. I had a good teacher. My throat tightened saying it. Multiple good teachers apparently. He smiled at that. Small, genuine. Your father would have liked seeing us work together. Don't get sentimental on me. We're not friends. Not yet, he agreed. But we will be. Partners usually become friends after they survive trying to kill the same enemy. I wanted to argue, but something about the way he said it made me believe him. Made me think that maybe, just maybe, Dante Kozlov was exactly what he appeared to be. A man trying to honor the memory of someone he loved. We left the warehouse as the sun was starting to set. The drive back to the restaurant was quieter. I was processing everything. Reorganizing 4 years of assumptions. I'll have someone watch Victor tonight, Dante said as we pulled up. Make sure he doesn't move against you before we're ready. I can take care of myself. I know you can. But humor me. He pulled out a phone, brand new, still in the box. Burner. Completely secure. My number is already programmed. You need anything, you call. I took the phone. Why are you helping me? Because your father saved my life. Because Victor played me too, made me think Adrian's death was an accident. Because I'm tired of good people dying while men like Victor keep winning. He paused. And because you remind me of everything I learned from Adrian. Everything I'm supposed to be. I got out of the car but leaned back in through the window. Tomorrow when we meet Victor, I need you to let me take the lead. He can't know we're working together yet. Agreed. I'll be close by, ready to move when you give the signal. What signal? He thought for a moment, then smiled slightly. Use the move. The one you used on me in the restaurant. That'll be my sign that things are going wrong. I nodded and started to walk away. Camila. I turned back. Your father was right about you. You're going to be stronger than any of us. I didn't trust myself to respond to that, so I just walked back into the restaurant where Sophie was waiting with about 1,000 questions. What I didn't tell Dante was that I had my own plans for tomorrow. My own insurance policy. Because as much as his evidence pointed to Victor, I needed to see it for myself. Needed to look my uncle in the eyes and know for certain that he killed my father. And if he had, then mercy was something he would never receive from me. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my tiny apartment going through everything my father had left me. The boxes I had been too afraid to open for 4 years. The journals. The training notes. The letters. There had to be something. Some clue I missed. Some warning he tried to give me before he died. At 3 a.m, I found it. A letter addressed to me, hidden in the spine of his favorite training manual. The envelope was sealed with wax, my father's symbol pressed into it. My hands shook as I opened it. Camila, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I tried to protect you from this world, but it found us anyway. Victor is not who you think he is. He's not who I thought he was. The brother I trusted, the partner I built everything with, he's been working against me for years. Stealing. Lying. And now I have proof that he's planning something that will hurt thousands of people. I can't let that happen. I'm going to confront him tomorrow. Something happens to me, don't trust him. Don't believe his tears at my funeral. Don't accept his help. Run, Camila. Run far and never look back. But if you can't run, if you're reading this because you've decided to fight, then know this. You're stronger than he is. Smarter. You have something he never will. Use it. Make me proud. I love you. Always. Dad. The paper crumpled in my fist. He knew. My father knew Victor was going to kill him and he confronted him anyway. Because that's who he was. A man who couldn't stand by while innocent people got hurt. And Victor had killed him for it. The rage that filled me was cold. Focused. Exactly the way my father taught me to channel emotion into action. I spent the rest of the night preparing. Checking my weapons. Planning escape routes. Memorizing the layout of Victor's estate from the blueprints I had stolen months ago during one of my visits. At 8 in the morning the burner phone Dante gave me buzzed. Are you ready? His text was simple. Yes. Stay back until I signal. I need to hear him admit it. Be careful. He's more dangerous than you think. I almost laughed at that. More dangerous than I think. I had spent 4 years studying Victor. Learning his patterns. His habits. His weaknesses. I knew exactly how dangerous he was. What I didn't know was whether I could actually kill him when the moment came. At noon I drove to Victor's estate. It was outside the city, surrounded by 20 acres of manicured grounds and a security system that would make a bank jealous. But I had the access codes. Victor had given them to me himself months ago, telling me I was always welcome. That his home was my home. The lies came so easily to him. The guard at the gate recognized me and waved me through with a smile. I wondered if he knew. If any of them knew what Victor really was. Victor met me at the front door himself. Tall, broad-shouldered, with silver threading through his dark hair. 52 years old, but he moved like a man 20 years younger. My father's training had kept him sharp. Camila. He pulled me into a hug that I forced myself to return. It's so good to see you. You look thin. Are you eating enough? I'm fine, Uncle Victor. The word tasted like poison now. Come. I made tea. Your favorite. He led me through the massive house to his private study. Books lined every wall. A fireplace crackled in the corner. It looked like the office of a professor, not a crime lord. You said you had information about my father, I said, sitting in the leather chair across from his desk. Yes. He poured tea into delicate china cups, the kind my father always hated. I've been patient, Camila. Giving you time to grieve. But I think you're ready now to hear the truth about what happened. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral. I'm listening. Victor sat back in his chair, his fingers steepled under his chin. The same gesture my father used to make when he was thinking. Victor had copied so many of his mannerisms over the years. Stolen them like he stole everything else. Your father was involved in something dangerous, Victor began. Something I tried to talk him out of. He had discovered a trafficking operation. Children. Being moved through the city for terrible purposes. I felt sick. Not because I didn't believe children were being trafficked, that was probably true. But because Victor was using it as a cover story. Painting my father as a hero who died fighting monsters when really the only monster was sitting across from me. He wanted to shut it down, Victor continued. But these people, they're connected to powerful organizations. International networks. I told him to let the authorities handle it, but you know your father. He couldn't stand by. So they killed him. I kept my voice steady. Yes. Victor's face was the picture of regret. And I've been trying to find them ever since. To make them pay for what they took from us. Have you found them? I'm close. He leaned forward. That's why I asked you here. I need your help, Camila. There's a meeting happening in 3 days. The people responsible will be there. But I need someone on the inside. Someone they won't suspect. There was. The trap he had been building for 4 years. Get me to infiltrate some meeting where his people would be waiting. Make my death look like I was killed by the same people who supposedly killed my father. Clean. Neat. No connection to him. What would I have to do? I asked. Just observe. Record conversations if you can. Get names. Then get out safely. His eyes were warm, concerned. Uncle Victor, who loved me. Who wanted to protect me. I'll have my best people watching over you. You won't be in any real danger. When would we do this? The meeting is in 3 days, but I'd want you to stay here. Let me train you. Prepare you. Make sure you're ready. Stay here. In his house. Surrounded by his men. For 3 days. He wasn't even being subtle anymore. He must really think I had no idea what he was planning. Can I think about it? I asked. This is a lot. Something flickered across his face. Annoyance maybe. Impatience. But he covered it quickly with another warm smile. Of course. Take all the time you need. But Camila, I have to ask. Have you been talking to anyone about your father's death? Anyone asking questions? My blood went cold. Like who? I heard something troubling. That Dante Kozlov has been making inquiries. Digging into your father's accident. Victor's voice was casual but his eyes were sharp. Has he contacted you? This was it. The real reason for today's meeting. Victor knew Dante was investigating. Knew we had connected somehow. He was testing me. The Mafia boss? I laughed, making it sound natural. Why would he contact me? Your father trained him years ago. I thought perhaps Dante might have reached out. Offered his condolences or some such nonsense. No. I haven't heard from him. The lie came easily. Should I be worried? Not at all. But Victor's jaw was tight. It's just that Dante has been spreading rumors. Suggesting your father's death wasn't an accident. It's causing problems. What kind of problems? The kind that make people ask questions I'd rather not answer. Victor stood and walked to the window, his back to me. Dante Kozlov is dangerous, Camila. If he ever approaches you, you need to tell me immediately. He's not interested in justice. He's interested in taking over operations that don't belong to him. I stood too, moving closer to the desk. Uncle Victor, what operations? He turned and for just a moment I saw something real in his face. Calculation. The look of a predator deciding whether to strike. Then it was gone, replaced by concern. Nothing you need to worry about. Just promise me you'll be careful. That you'll stay away from Dante and his people. I promise. Another lie. They were piling up between us now. A wall of deception that neither of us could see through anymore. Good. He came back to the desk and pulled out a folder. Now, let me show you what I know about the people who killed your father. For the next hour, Victor laid out an elaborate story. Names. Locations. A whole network of fictional criminals who he claimed were responsible for my father's death. It was impressive, really. The detail. The documentation. He had been planning this story for years. I played along. Asked questions. Took notes. Let him think I believed every word. And all the while I was looking for proof. Something concrete I could use. Something that would make even his most loyal followers turn against him. That's when I saw it. On his desk, partially hidden under other papers. A photo. My father and Victor maybe 15 years ago. They were standing in front of a building I recognized. The warehouse where Victor ran his main operations. But it was what was written on the back of the photo that made my heart stop. I could see it because the photo was face down. Written in my father's handwriting. The day Victor asked me to help him build an empire. The day I said yes to the devil. My father had known what Victor was from the beginning. And he had helped him anyway. Had trained him. Built his organization with him. But, Camila, are you all right? Victor was watching me carefully. Yes. Sorry. This is just a lot to process. I checked my watch. I should probably go. I need to think about everything you've told me. Stay for dinner at least. We can talk more. Plan our next steps. I can't. I have to work tonight. Another lie. But I'll call you tomorrow. Give you my answer about the mission. Something dark crossed his face. He didn't want me to leave. Didn't want to let me out of his sight now that he knew Dante was circling. Camila. His voice was harder now. I think you should stay. I insist. The air in the room changed. Heavy. Dangerous. I stood slowly, my hand moving to the small of my back where I had a knife hidden. Are you ordering me to stay, Uncle Victor? I'm protecting you. He moved between me and the door. From yourself. From Dante. From the truth you're not ready to hear. What truth? That your father wasn't the man you think he was. Victor's mask was cracking now. He wasn't a hero. He was a criminal. A killer. He built half of what I have. Trained most of my men. Got his hands dirty with the worst kinds of work. And when he decided he wanted out, when he wanted to burn everything down and pretend he was clean, I had to stop him. There was the confession. But he was saying it like it was justified. Like my father was the villain. You killed him. My voice was shaking. Not with fear. With rage. I did what I had to do. Victor's voice was calm. Reasonable. Like we were discussing the weather. And now I have to do the same with you. I'm sorry, Camila. I really did love you. But you've been talking to Dante. Learning things. Putting pieces together. I can't let you leave here knowing what you know. The door behind me opened. Two of Victor's men stepped in. Armed. Ready. I was trapped. This was the moment. Signal Dante. Use the move. Start the fight. But something made me hesitate. Victor had just confirmed everything, but he was too calm. Too confident. Like he knew something I didn't. You're wondering why I'm telling you all this, Victor said, reading my face. Why I'm not worried about you fighting back or calling for help. The thought crossed my mind. He smiled. Actually smiled. Because Dante Kozlov isn't coming to save you, Camila. He's been working for me the entire time. The world tilted. The investigation. The evidence. The murder board. All of it carefully constructed to make you trust him. To bring you to me. Did you really think a mafia boss would spend 4 years investigating one man's death out of loyalty? Victor laughed. Dante works for whoever pays him. And I pay very well. Oh, that couldn't be true. The memorial. The training center. The way Dante talked about my father. But doubt was creeping in. Because Victor was right. Why would Dante care? Why would he spend years investigating unless there was something in it for him? I see you're starting to understand. Victor came closer. Dante delivered you to me perfectly. Made you think you had an ally. Made you lower your guard. And now here you are. My hand was on my knife. The two guards were moving to flank me. Victor was blocking the door. 3 against 1. In his house. On his territory. My father's voice echoed in my head. When you're outnumbered, Camila, don't fight fair. Fight smart. I looked at Victor. At the man who killed my father. Who lied to me for 4 years. Who was about to kill me too. And I smiled. You're right about one thing, Uncle Victor. I have been learning. Getting smarter. But you made one mistake. What's that? You assumed Dante was the only person I told about coming here today. His smile faltered. Just slightly. I pulled out my phone. Not the burner Dante gave me. My real phone. The one I had used to send a very detailed email to several journalists, several police contacts, and several of Victor's rivals. An email that would automatically send in 1 hour unless I stopped it. An email containing every piece of evidence Dante had gathered. Every financial record. Every witness testimony. Everything. You kill me, I said quietly, and by dinner time your entire empire burns to the ground. Victor's face went white. Then red. Then a color I didn't have words for. You're bluffing. Am I? Do you really want to risk it? I held up the phone. I have 58 minutes to cancel that email. And the only way I'm doing that is if you let me walk out of here. Right now. The guards looked at Victor. Waiting for orders. He was calculating. Weighing options. Trying to figure out if I was lying. I wasn't lying about the email. But I was lying about one thing. Dante hadn't betrayed me. I knew that in my bones. Victor's story was too convenient. Too perfect. Designed to make me doubt the one ally I had. Which meant Dante was out there somewhere. Waiting for my signal. Time to give it to him. I moved fast. Elbow trap on the first guard. Wrist twist. Shoulder drop. Knee pin. He went down hard. The second guard raised his gun, but I was already moving, using his partner's body as a shield. A kick to the knee. He dropped. Victor lunged for me, but I was faster. My father's daughter. Dante's equal. I had both guards disarmed in under 10 seconds. And somewhere outside I knew Dante had seen the signal. Knew he was coming. Victor stood frozen, staring at me like he was seeing a ghost. You look surprised, Uncle Victor. I picked up one of the fallen guns, checked the magazine, pointed it at him. Did you really think I'd come here unprepared? Did you really think I'd trust you? Camila, wait. We can talk about this. We're done talking. My finger was on the trigger. 4 years of grief and rage focused into this one moment. You killed my father. You lied to me. You tried to kill me. Give me one reason why I shouldn't end this right now. He opened his mouth to answer. That's when the windows exploded inward and everything went to hell. Glass rained down like deadly snow. I hit the ground, covering my head as bullets tore through Victor's study. The bookshelf behind his desk exploded, sending wood and paper everywhere. This wasn't Dante. This was something else. Victor dove behind his desk, shouting orders into a phone I hadn't seen him pull out. The two guards I'd knocked down were scrambling for cover, forgotten about me entirely. More gunfire. Systematic. Professional. Someone was shooting from multiple positions outside, pinning us all down. What the hell is this? I shouted over the noise. Victor's face was twisted with rage and something else. Fear. Real fear. They're early. They weren't supposed to move until tonight. Who? The Koreans. The trafficking network I told you about. He looked at me from behind the desk. Except I lied. They're not the ones who killed your father. But they are the ones trying to kill us both right now. Another window shattered. I rolled behind a heavy leather chair, my mind racing. If Victor was telling the truth, we were under attack by a completely different enemy. If he was lying, this was an elaborate setup. Either way, people were shooting at us and I needed to get out. I crawled toward the door, staying low. One of Victor's guards was already dead, blood pooling under his head. The other was returning fire through the broken window, buying time. The study door burst open. I raised the gun I'd taken, ready to fire. It was Dante. He had two of his men with him, all armed, all moving with military precision. His eyes found mine immediately. "Are you hit?" he shouted over the gunfire. "No." "What's happening?" "Victor's enemies decided to make a move. They've been watching the house. When they saw you arrive, they assumed he was meeting with someone important." Dante moved to the window, assessed the situation. "We have maybe 2 minutes before they breach the house." Victor emerged from behind his desk, gun in hand. "Kozlov. I should have known you'd show up. Save it." Dante fired 3 shots through the window. Someone outside screamed. "We can kill each other later. Right now we have bigger problems." "How many?" I asked, moving to Dante's side. "At least 15. Maybe 20. Professional crew. Korean syndicate out of Seattle. They've been trying to move into Victor's territory for months." Dante ejected his empty magazine, loaded a fresh one. "Victor's been holding them off, but barely. So this has nothing to do with my father?" "Everything has to do with your father," Victor said. He was moving toward a bookshelf on the far wall. "Adrian knew about the Koreans. He was helping me fight them. That's what got him killed." "You're lying." But doubt was creeping in again. Victor pressed something on the bookshelf. It swung open, revealing a hidden passage. "Believe what you want. But if we don't move right now, we're all dead. Come on." Dante looked at me. I could see the question in his eyes. Trust Victor or not? "We go," I decided. "But he leads. And if he tries anything, I shoot him myself." Victor actually laughed at that. "Fair enough." We moved into the passage, Dante's men covering our retreat. Behind us, the study was being torn apart by gunfire. I heard voices shouting in Korean, orders being given. The passage was narrow, brick walls closing in from both sides. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. Victor moved fast for a man his age, clearly familiar with the route. "Where does this lead?" Dante asked. "Underground garage. We can get out through the south gate." Victor glanced back at us. "But we'll have to move fast. They'll figure out where we went." We emerged into a massive garage. 10 cars, all expensive, all probably armored. Victor headed for a black SUV, keys already in his hand. "Everyone in. Now." I hesitated. Getting in a car with Victor felt like suicide. But staying in a house full of people trying to kill us felt worse. Dante made the decision for both of us. "Move. Argue later." We piled into the SUV. Victor driving, one of his surviving guards in passenger seat. Dante, his 2 men, and me in the back. It was cramped. Tense. 3 different groups of people who didn't trust each other forced into close quarters. Victor gunned the engine and we shot forward, tires screaming. The garage door was already opening, automated system triggered by the car's approach. We burst out into daylight. 3 black sedans were waiting, blocking the road. "Hold on," Victor growled. He didn't slow down. Just aimed the SUV straight at the middle sedan and floored it. The armored front crashed through like the other car was made of paper. Metal shrieked. Glass exploded. We were through, fishtailing onto the main road. Gunfire chased us. I heard bullets hitting the rear of the SUV, but the armor held. "They're following," one of Dante's men reported, looking back. 2 vehicles. "I see them." Victor was weaving through traffic, running red lights, driving like the former street racer he probably was decades ago. I was pressed against Dante in the back seat, Both of us braced against the wild driving. He caught my eye. "Are you really okay?" he asked quietly. "Been better." I showed him my phone. "I set up a dead man's switch. Email with all your evidence goes out in 40 minutes unless I stop it." He nodded approval. "Smart. Victor said you were working for him. Said this whole thing was a setup. And you believed him?" "No." I met his eyes. "But I needed him to think I might. Needed him off balance." Dante's expression shifted into something that might have been respect. "Your father taught you well." "Both my fathers did, apparently." Victor took a hard turn, throwing us all against the doors. "If you two are done bonding back there, we have a problem." I looked through the rear window. The two sedans were still following, and they had been joined by a third. Worse, they were coordinating. Professional chase tactics. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere safe. Somewhere they won't follow." Victor's jaw was tight. "The docks. I have a warehouse there. Defensible position." "The docks are 40 minutes away," Dante said. "We're not going to make it 40 minutes. Then we make a stand somewhere else." Victor scanned the streets. We were in the industrial district now. Abandoned factories. Empty lots. Not many civilians to worry about. He took another hard turn, this time into an old manufacturing complex. Rusted buildings, broken windows, the bones of the city's industrial past. "What are you doing?" his guard asked. "Changing the game." Victor slammed on the brakes. The SUV skidded to a stop in the middle of a wide courtyard surrounded by buildings. "Everybody out. Defensive positions. We end this here." We scrambled out of the vehicle. The three pursuing sedans were seconds behind us, their engines roaring as they entered the complex. "Spread out," Dante ordered his men. "Crossfire positions. Don't let them box us in." I moved toward one of the buildings, looking for cover and high ground. Victor was doing the same, his guard following. For a moment we were all just trying to survive. Enemies united by a common threat. The sedans screeched to a stop. Doors opened and men poured out. 10, 15, 20. All armed with automatic weapons. We were outnumbered 3-1. The first shot came from somewhere above me. One of the Korean fighters dropped. Then chaos erupted. Gunfire from every direction. I took cover behind a concrete pillar, returning fire carefully. Conserving ammunition. Picking my shots. Beside me, Dante was doing the same. Clinical. Precise. Every shot finding a target. "We can't hold this position," he said during a brief lull. "Too exposed." "I know." I looked around, searching for options. That's when I saw it. An old factory building, 5 stories tall, with a fire escape leading to the roof. High ground. Better angles. There. We get to the roof, we control the battlefield. "Good eye." Dante signaled to his men. "Cover us. We're moving to that building." Victor must have had the same idea because he was already running toward it, his guard laying down, suppressing fire. We moved as a group, bullets kicking up concrete around our feet. One of Dante's men went down with a cry. I grabbed his arm, helped him keep moving. Blood was spreading across his shoulder, but he was still functional. We reached the building. The metal fire escape was old, rusted, probably hadn't been used in years. It groaned under our weight as we climbed. Below us, the Koreans were regrouping. Their leader, a man in an expensive suit with a face like carved stone, was shouting orders. They were going to rush the building. We made it to the roof. Flat, covered in gravel and old ventilation units. Perfect defensive position. "Set up a perimeter," Dante ordered. "Watch all approaches." Victor was on his phone again, speaking rapidly in Russian. Calling for backup promptly. But backup would take time we might not have. I moved to the edge of the roof, looking down. The Koreans were splitting up. Some heading for the fire escape we just climbed. Others moving toward the building's main entrance. Smart. They were going to hit us from multiple directions. "We've got maybe 5 minutes before they're up here," I said. Victor ended his call. "My people are 20 minutes out. We'll be dead in 10. Dante checked his ammunition. "We need another option." "There isn't one." Victor's voice was grim. "This is it. We hold or we die." I looked at these two men. Both killers. Both criminals. Both connected to my father in ways I was still trying to understand. And now all 3 of us were trapped on a roof, surrounded by people who wanted us dead. "This is insane," I said. 24 hours ago I was serving coffee. Now I'm in a war zone with a mafia boss and the man who might have killed my father. I didn't kill your father, Victor said. He was checking his gun, not looking at me. But I know who did. And if we survive this, I'll prove it to you. Why should I believe anything you say? Because I'm not the one who's been lying to you, Camila. Dante is. I looked at Dante. He met my eyes steadily. I haven't lied to you about anything that matters, he said. That's a very careful answer. It's the truth. He moved closer, his voice low enough that only I could hear. Victor is going to try to turn you against me. That's what he does. Divide people. Make them doubt each other. Don't let him. Before I could respond, gunfire erupted from below. The Koreans were in the building. We took positions around the roof's edge. Waiting. Weapons ready. The fire escape shook as men started climbing. I counted 5. Maybe 6. Wait for my signal, Dante said. Let them get close. The seconds stretched. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it over the sound of boots on metal. The first head appeared over the edge of the roof. Now! Dante shouted. We opened fire. The 3 men on the fire escape were caught in the open, nowhere to hide. They went down fast. But more were coming up through the building's interior stairwell. The roof access door burst open and men poured out. This wasn't a firefight anymore. It was close quarters combat. Brutal. Desperate. I dropped one attacker with a shot to the chest. Dodged as another swung a knife at me. Used the move my father taught me, the one Dante recognized. Disarm. Disable. Move to the next threat. Beside me, Dante was fighting 2 men at once. His movements were economical. Efficient. Each strike purposeful. Victor was across the roof, somehow holding his own against 3 attackers. For a man in his 50s, he moved like someone half his age. We were winning. Barely. But more were coming. I could hear them on the stairs. That's when I saw the Korean leader. He emerged from the stairwell with 4 men, all carrying something that made my blood run cold. Grenades. Get down. I screamed. Everyone dove for cover. The grenades arced through the air. But they didn't explode. Instead they spewed thick white smoke. Gas grenades. The smoke filled the roof in seconds. I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me. Couldn't breathe without coughing. Somewhere in the smoke someone grabbed me. I fought back instinctively, but a voice in my ear stopped me. It's me, Dante said. Stay close. They're trying to separate us. I grabbed onto his jacket and we moved through the smoke together. Blind. Choking. Waiting for a bullet to find us. Then the smoke started to clear, pulled away by the wind. And I saw something that made my heart stop. Victor was on his knees, hands behind his head. The Korean leader had a gun pressed to his temple. They had captured him. Everyone stops shooting or he dies, the Korean leader called out in accented English. Right now. Dante and his men hesitated. I could see them calculating. Wondering if Victor's life was worth the risk. I made the decision for all of us. I stepped out of cover, hands raised. Gun on the ground. Let him go, I said. This is between you and him. The rest of us will walk away. The Korean leader studied me. His eyes were cold. Professional. You are the girl. Adrian's daughter. My blood went cold. How do you know my father? Everyone knew Adrian Reeves. He was a problem for many people. The man's finger tightened on the trigger. Including us. So we solved the problem. The world stopped. You killed him. The words came out flat. I gave the order. Victor here was supposed to help arrange it. He took our money. Made promises. Then failed to deliver. The man kicked Victor. That's why we're here. To finish what he started. I looked at Victor. At the man I thought had killed my father. At the man who maybe, just maybe, had been telling the truth. Victor met my eyes. I took their money, yes. Pretended to help. But I warned your father. Told him they were coming. He didn't listen. Thought he could handle it alone. You're lying. But I didn't know anymore. Didn't know what was true. I'm not. Victor's voice was steady despite the gun at his head. The proof is in your father's last letter. The one he left you. Read it again. Really read it. He says I'm not who you think I am. Not that I killed him. That I'm not who you think. I thought back to the letter. He was right. My father never explicitly said Victor killed him. Just that he wasn't who I thought. That he had proof Victor was planning something. What if the something Victor was planning was to protect my father? To stop the Koreans from getting to him? Enough talking, the Korean leader said. You all die here. Starting with him. He pulled the trigger. But Victor moved fast, twisting away at the last second. The bullet grazed his shoulder instead of his head. He grabbed the leader's gun hand, pulling him off balance. Chaos erupted again. Everyone started shooting. I dove for my gun, rolled, came up firing. Dropped two of the Koreans before they could adjust. Dante was moving toward Victor, trying to help him fight off the leader. His men were engaging the others. I saw my opening. Sprinted across the roof toward where Victor and the Korean leader were grappling. The leader was bigger, stronger, but Victor was desperate. I came in from the side. Knee strike to the leader's ribs. He grunted, loosened his grip just enough for Victor to get free. Then Victor did something I didn't expect. He shoved the leader toward the edge of the roof. Wait, I said. We need him alive. Need answers. But Victor wasn't listening. His face was twisted with rage. With years of frustration and fear. The Korean leader stumbled backward, arms windmilling. For a moment he balanced on the edge. Then he fell. The scream cut off abruptly. Wet crunch of impact from 5 stories below. The remaining Koreans, seeing their leader dead, broke. Started retreating. Running. Within minutes it was over. The roof was covered in bodies, blood, spent shell casings. But we were alive. I walked to the edge, looked down at the Korean leader's broken body. He could have told us everything, I said to Victor. Who else was involved? How they found my father. Why? I know why, Victor said quietly. He was holding his bleeding shoulder, face pale. And I know who else was involved. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Then tell me now. He looked at Dante, then back at me. Not here. Not with him listening. Anything you have to say you can say in front of both of us, Dante said. He was reloading his gun, watching Victor carefully. Can I? Victor's laugh was bitter. Tell me, Kozlov, when were you planning to tell Camila the truth about your relationship with her father? About why he really trained you? Dante went very still. What is he talking about? I asked. Nothing. He's trying to divide us. Like I said he would. Am I? Or am I the only one being honest? Victor turned to me. Ask him, Camila. Ask Dante why your father really took him in. What their agreement was. What Dante promised in return for that training. I looked at Dante. At this man I had started to trust. To rely on. What's he talking about? Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was careful. Measured. Your father and I had an arrangement. I protected him from certain threats. He trained me. That was the deal. What threats? Various criminal organizations. People who wanted to hurt him. Intimidate him. Force him to work for them. Including the Koreans? Yes. And in exchange for this protection, my father trained you. Yes. Why you? Why not someone else from your organization? Another pause. Longer this time. Because, Victor said when Dante didn't answer, Adrian needed someone with resources. With connections. Someone who could protect not just him but his daughter. Someone who could ensure that if anything happened to him, Camila would be taken care of. I felt like I'd been punched. My father made you promise to protect me? Dante finally met my eyes. Yes. So this whole thing. The investigation. Helping me. It wasn't about loyalty or honor or any of that. It was an obligation. A promise you made. It started as a promise. But it became more than that. Did it? Or are you just saying that because I'm standing here with a gun? My hands were shaking. Not with fear. With betrayal. Everything you told me about how much you cared about my father, how much his death hurt you. Was any of it real? All of it was real. Dante took a step toward me. I raised my gun. He stopped. I did care about your father. I do care about you. The promise is just what brought us together. What happens next is our choice. Our choice. I laughed and it came out broken. I don't even know who to believe anymore. Victor says one thing. You say another. Everyone claims to have my best interests at heart while using me for their own purposes. Camila, Victor said, I know I've given you no reason to trust me. But I'm asking you to consider that maybe, just maybe, I've been trying to protect you too. In my own way. By planning to kill me? I never planned to kill you. I planned to keep you close so I could watch over you. Make sure the Koreans didn't find you the way they found your father. He gestured at the carnage around us. Look what happened when they finally tracked you down. They sent 20 men. 20. Because they know what you are. What you could become. A threat. I wanted to believe he was lying. That would be simpler. Cleaner. But the pieces were starting to fit together in a way that made horrible sense. The Koreans had killed my father. Victor had tried to warn him but failed. Then spent 4 years keeping me hidden, keeping me safe even if his methods were manipulative. And Dante had honored his promise, investigated, gathered evidence, all while building toward this moment. None of them were good. But maybe they weren't the enemies I thought they were. We need to move, one of Dante's men said, interrupting my thoughts. Emergency services will be here soon. And we don't want to answer questions. He was right. We were standing on a roof full of bodies with illegal weapons. Where do we go? I asked. Victor and Dante looked at each other. Some wordless communication passed between them. Somewhere neutral, Dante said finally. Somewhere we can all talk without worrying about who's listening. I know a place, Victor said. But we go together. All 3 of us. No more secrets. No more games. No more lies, I added. I want the whole truth. About my father. About the Koreans. About everything. You'll get it, Victor promised. Whether you like it or not. We gathered the survivors and made our way down from the roof. Below, sirens were approaching. We had maybe 5 minutes. Victor's backup arrived just as we reached the ground. 3 SUVs, all armored, all full of his men. Professional extraction. We split up between the vehicles. I ended up with Dante again, Victor in a different SUV. His guard insisted on it, probably worried we'd kill him if left alone together. As we drove away from the industrial complex, I watched the buildings blur past. 24 hours ago I was a waitress. Now I was a fugitive. Fighter. A woman caught between 2 powerful men and a ghost. My father had built this world. Trained these people. Made these arrangements. And somehow from beyond the grave he was still pulling strings. Still protecting me. Or was he? Because the more I learned, the less certain I became about who my father really was. And what he wanted from me. The SUV drove on into the growing darkness, carrying me toward truths I wasn't sure I wanted to face. But I would face them. For better or worse, I was in this now. All the way. Until I knew everything. Until justice was served. Until my father could finally rest. The neutral location turned out to be a private airfield 40 minutes outside the city. Small planes, empty hangars, and one illuminated building in the center. We pulled up to the building and everyone filed out, weapons still drawn, trust still fragile. Inside was a conference room. Clean. Professional. Probably used for business meetings that skirted the edge of legality. Victor sat on one side of the table. Dante and I took the other. His men and mine, we were forming sides now, stayed outside. This conversation needed to be private. Talk, I said. Everything. Now. Victor pulled out a tablet, typed in a password and turned it toward me. This is your father's journal. The real one. Not the sanitized version you found in his things. The one that details every operation. Every deal. Every compromise he made to keep you safe. I scrolled through pages of my father's handwriting. Dates. Names. Transactions. It painted a picture of a man deeply embedded in the criminal world. Not fighting it. Running parts of it. My stomach twisted. This can't be real. It's real, Dante said quietly. I've seen it before. Victor showed it to me 2 years ago when I was trying to figure out what really happened. So you've both been lying to me about who my father was. I looked between them. He wasn't a hero trying to take down traffickers. He was part of the system. He was trying to change it from the inside, Victor said. That's different. Is it? Because these entries make it sound like he was profiting. Like he took money from operations involving drugs, weapons, protection rackets. He did. But he used that money to fund legitimate businesses. To create exit strategies for people trying to leave the life. To protect families like yours. Victor leaned forward. Your father was complicated, Camila. He did bad things for good reasons. Or maybe good things despite his bad choices. I'm not a philosopher. But I know he loved you more than anything. And everything he did was to create a world where you'd be safe. I kept reading. Found an entry from 6 years ago. The Koreans approached me today. Want me to help them establish routes through the city. Offered 2 million. I said yes, then immediately contacted Victor. If we let them think they have an ally, we can monitor their operations. Control the damage. Maybe even shut them down from the inside. My hands were shaking. He was playing both sides. He was gathering intelligence, Dante corrected. Your father spent 2 years feeding the Koreans false information, redirecting their operations away from vulnerable populations, sabotaging their shipments. He saved dozens of lives. Maybe hundreds. But they found out. I looked up. That's why they killed him. Yes, Victor said. The Korean leader, the one who fell from the roof today, he figured out what Adrian was doing. Sent someone to tamper with his car. Made it look like an accident. By the time I realized what happened, your father was gone. And you didn't tell me because? Because you were 22 years old and devastated. Because telling you would have made you a target. Because your father's last words to me were to keep you out of this world no matter what. Victor's voice cracked slightly. I've made a lot of mistakes, Camila. But trying to honor his final wish wasn't one of them. I turned to Dante. And you? What's your excuse for lying? I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. He met my eyes. Your father made me promise that if anything happened to him, I'd watch over you. Protect you. But he also made me promise not to tell you about his work. He wanted you to remember him as a good man. A father. Not a criminal trying to do right. So you decided what I could handle. What I deserved to know. I decided to honor a dying man's wishes, Dante said. Maybe that was wrong. But it's what I did. I stood up, needing space. Needy air. This was too much. My entire understanding of my father, of his death, of the last 4 years, all of it was built on lies and half-truths. There's more, Victor said. Something you need to see. He pulled up a video file. Security footage from 4 years ago. My father's gym. The date stamp showed it was the day before he died. I watched as my father entered the frame with someone I recognized. But he looked younger. This was the last time I saw him, Dante said quietly. On screen my father was talking. No audio, but his body language was urgent. He handed Dante something. An envelope. Then he pulled him into a hug. The video ended. What was in the envelope? I asked. Dante reached into his jacket and pulled out a sealed envelope. Worn. My name written on the front in my father's handwriting. He told me to give this to you when you were ready. When you'd learned enough to understand what he was really trying to do. When you'd proven you could handle the truth. Dante slid it across the table. I think that time is now. I picked up the envelope with trembling hands. Broke the seal. Inside was a letter. Longer than the first one I found. More detailed. By Camila. If you're reading this, Victor and Dante have finally told you the truth. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you myself. Sorry I had to lie about who I was and what I did. But I need you to understand something. Every choice I made, every compromise, every deal, it was all to build something better. Not for me. For you. The world is ugly, sweetheart. Full of people who hurt others for profit or pleasure or power. I couldn't fix all of it. But I tried to fix the parts one could reach. I tried to make deals with devils so angels like you wouldn't have to. The Koreans wanted to move children through our city. Sell them to monsters. I couldn't let that happen. So I pretended to help them while sabotaging everything. It worked for 2 years. But they figured it out. And now they're coming for me. I've prepared for this. Victor knows my plans. Dante has resources to protect you. Together they'll keep you safe until the threat passes. But I need you to promise me something. Don't waste your life seeking revenge. Don't become what I was. You're better than this world. Stronger. More pure. Live the life I couldn't give you. Be happy. Fall in love. Build something beautiful. And if you can't do that, if you feel compelled to finish what I started, then at least be smart about it. Trust Victor. Trust Dante. They're not perfect. Neither was I. But they care about you. And in this world, that's worth more than gold. I love you forever. Even in death. Especially in death. Dad. I read it 3 times. Each time the words hit harder. My father hadn't been murdered by Victor. He'd been killed by the Koreans for trying to stop their trafficking operation. And he'd known it was coming. Had prepared for it. Had set up a system to protect me after he was gone. The Koreans, I said, my voice hollow. Are they all dead now? The ones from today. The soldiers are, Victor said. But their organization is bigger than one cell. They have people in Seattle, Los Angeles, even overseas. Today was just one battle. Then it's not over. No, Dante agreed. They'll regroup. Send more people. They know you exist now. Know you're Adrian's daughter. They won't stop until you're dead or they are. I looked at both of them. These complicated, dangerous men my father had trusted. Then we finish it. We take down their entire organization. Burn it to the ground. No more trafficking. No more children hurt. We do what my father started. That's a war, Victor said. A long bloody war. Are you prepared for that? I'm my father's daughter. What do you think? Dante smiled slightly. I think Adrian would be proud. And terrified. He'd also be smart about it, Victor added. The Korean operation is run by a man named Park Han. He's in Seattle. Protected by an army of loyal soldiers and corrupt officials. Getting to him won't be easy. Nothing worth doing is easy, I said. We have what resources from both your organizations? Intelligence networks? Trained people? And you, Dante said. Adrian trained you better than he trained any of us. Victor and I were good. But you're something different. You have his instincts. His intelligence. Plus something he never had. What's that? Nothing to lose. Dante's eyes were serious. Your father had you to protect. That made him cautious. You don't have that limitation. He was right. I had nothing. No family except the memory of my father. No real home. No ties holding me back. I was free in the most dangerous way possible. So we're doing this, I said. The three of us. Taking down the Korean operation. 4 of us, a voice said from the doorway. We all turned. A woman stood there. Late 30s, Asian, beautiful in a way that suggested lethality more than softness. She was dressed in tactical gear, armed and looking at Victor like she wanted to kill him. Who the hell are you? I asked. Young Lee, she said. Former Korean intelligence. Current freelance operator. And the woman who's going to help you destroy Park Han. Why would you help us? Victor asked. He looked tense. Like he knew her. Because Park Han killed my sister 3 years ago when she tried to leave his organization. Because I've been planning his death ever since. And because I just watched you idiots almost get killed by his people and realized you need someone who actually knows how they operate. Jung walked into the room like she owned it. So here's how this is going to work. I provide intelligence. You provide muscle. We coordinate an assault on his Seattle operation that cripples his network permanently. Then we kill him. Slowly. I looked at Victor and Dante. They both nodded slightly. Enemy of our enemy and all that. Fine, I said. But I lead. We do this my way. Jung studied me for a long moment then smiled. Adrian's daughter. I can see it. You have his eyes. His stance. She walked closer. Your father saved my life once. 6 years ago. Pulled me out of a situation that should have killed me. I owed him a debt. Never got to repay it. Maybe I can repay it to you instead. My father seemed to have helped a lot of people. He did. More than you know. The world is worse without him. Jung pulled up a chair and sat. But we can make it better. One dead trafficker at a time. Over the next 3 hours we planned. Jung had detailed intelligence on Park Han's operation. Safe houses. Transportation routes. Financial networks. Guard rotations. Everything we needed to launch a coordinated strike. The key is his second in command, Jung explained, pointing to a photo of a scarred man. Choi Sung. He handles all the actual trafficking operations. Park Han never gets his hands dirty. So we take Choi first. Make him talk. Get evidence that ties Park Han directly to the crimes. And then? I asked. Then we give that evidence to the FBI. Let them raid Park Han's legitimate businesses. Freeze his assets. Destroy his reputation. Jung's smile was cold. And while he's dealing with that, we kill him. Why not just kill him first? Dante asked. Because Park Han has a dead man's switch. If he dies unexpectedly, information gets released that would hurt a lot of powerful people. Politicians. Judges. Police chiefs. They'd spend the rest of their lives hunting whoever killed him. Jung tapped the table. But if he's arrested first, put in prison, then dies in a prison riot? It's just bad luck. Nobody investigates too hard. It was ruthless. Calculated. Exactly the kind of plan my father would have made. How long do we have? Victor asked. 3 days. Maybe 4. Park Han will have heard about today by now. He'll be moving assets, securing his position. If we don't strike soon, we lose our window. Jung looked at each of us. So I need to know right now. Are you in or out? Because I'm moving forward either way. I didn't hesitate. I'm in. Me too, Dante said. Victor took longer, clearly weighing options. Finally he nodded. For Adrian. And for every kid that bastard has hurt. Good. Jung stood. Then we leave tonight. Drive to Seattle. Set up surveillance on Troy's operation. Wait for our opening. As everyone started preparing, gathering weapons and supplies, Dante pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? He asked quietly. Once we start down this path, there's no going back. You'll have blood on your hands. Enemies that never stop coming. This becomes your life. This became my life the day they killed my father, I said. I'm just finally accepting it. Your father wanted better for you. My father wanted a lot of things. But he also taught me to finish what I start. To protect people who can't protect themselves. To stand up to monsters even when it's dangerous. I met his eyes. This is me being his daughter. All the way. Dante nodded slowly. Then I'm with you. However long it takes. Whatever it costs. Why? The promise to my father? That obligation? No. He stepped closer. Because somewhere between that restaurant and now, you became more than an obligation. You became someone I believe in. Someone worth fighting for. The words hung between us. Harsh. Complicated. Don't, I said. Don't make this about feelings. We can't afford that kind of distraction. Maybe not now. But later. He smiled slightly. When this is over and we're still alive. I'm taking you to dinner. A real one. No guns. No plans. Just us. You're assuming we survive. I'm planning for it. Your father taught me to always plan for survival. I wanted to argue. To push him away. To keep everything professional and distant. But the truth was, somewhere in the chaos and violence I'd started to care about Dante too. Started to see him as more than just a criminal or an ally. Dinner, I agreed. If we survive. But I'm ordering the most expensive thing on the menu. I'd expect nothing less. We loaded into vehicles. 4 SUVs full of armed people heading north to Seattle. To war. To justice. I sat in the back watching the city lights fade behind us. My father's letter was folded in my pocket. His journal saved on my phone. His lessons running through my head. He'd built this. This network of dangerous people united by a common cause. And now I was leading them. It should have scared me. Should have made me question everything. But instead I felt clear. Focused. Ready. The Koreans had taken my father. Had tried to take me. Had hurt countless innocents in pursuit of profit. Now they were going to learn what happened when you made an enemy of Adrian Reeves's daughter. They were going to learn that some debts can only be paid in blood. And I was an excellent collector. Seattle was cold and wet when we arrived. Rain hammering the windows, streets slick with water. We set up in a warehouse Jung had secured months ago. Preparation for this moment she'd been planning since her sister died. Choi operates out of a nightclub downtown, Jung explained, spreading blueprints across a table. Front business is legitimate. Back rooms are where he processes the trafficking routes. Decides which children go where. Takes his cut. I felt sick hearing it laid out so clinically. How many children? Weekly. About 20. Monthly? 80 to 100. Jung's face was stone. They come from all over. Korea. China. Some from right here in America. Runaways. Foster kids. Anyone vulnerable. And the buyers? Dante asked. Wealthy. Connected. Protected. Jung pulled up files on her laptop. Politicians. Business executives. Even some law enforcement. Park Han keeps detailed records. Insurance policy. If anyone moves against him, he releases everything. So we get those records, I said. Use them as leverage. They're kept in a secure server farm. Air-gapped. No internet connection. Physical access only. Jung pointed to another location on a map. Here, 20 miles outside the city. Former military installation that Park Han purchased through shell companies. Victor studied the maps. That's a fortress. Armed guards. Surveillance everywhere. Biometric locks. Even if we get inside, copying the data would take hours. We'd never make it out. Not we, Jung said. Me. I go in alone. You provide distraction elsewhere. That's suicide, I said. Maybe. But it's the only way. I know the security systems. Designed half of them when I worked for Korean intelligence. I can get in. Getting out is the hard part. Then we make sure you get out, Dante said. We hit the nightclub at the same time. Draw all their response teams there. Leave the server farm vulnerable. They'll still have guards, Victor pointed out. Fewer guards. Spread thin. Manageable. Jung closed the laptop. It's risky. But everything about this is risky. We spent the rest of the night planning. Timing. Coordinating. Making sure everyone knew their roles. I was assigned to the nightclub assault. My job was to get to Choi. Make him talk. Find out where he kept his personal records, the ones that would prove Park Han's direct involvement. He won't talk easily, Jung warned. Choi is loyal. Fanatical. He believes Park Han saved his life. Gave him purpose. Everyone talks eventually, Victor said darkly. It's just a matter of technique. I didn't like the implication. Didn't like becoming the kind of person who tortured information out of people. But what choice did we have? How many children would suffer if we failed because I was too squeamish to do what was necessary? My father's voice echoed in my head. Morality is complicated in war, Camila. Sometimes you have to become a monster to fight monsters. Just don't lose yourself completely. Remember why you're fighting. Who you're protecting. The next day we did surveillance. Watched the nightclub. Counted guards. Timed shift changes. Mapped exit routes. Choi arrived at 8 p.m. in an armored car. For bodyguards. He walked into his club like a king entering his castle. Tonight, Jung said. We move tonight. The longer we wait, the more time they have to prepare. Tonight, I agreed. We returned to the warehouse. Geared up. Weapons. Body armor. Communication devices. I felt like I was preparing for battle. Which I was. Dante found me checking my gun for the third time. Nervous, he asked. Terrified, I admitted. What if this goes wrong? What if people die because of my decisions? People are already dying. Children are already suffering. We're trying to stop that. He put his hand over mine, stilling my compulsive checking. Your father told me once that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite the fear. You're doing that. He'd be proud. I hope so. I looked at him. Really looked. If this goes bad. If I don't make it out. Don't do that. I need to say this. You've been more than I expected. More than an obligation. You became someone I trust. Someone I care about. And I need you to know that. Dante pulled me closer. For a moment I thought he might kiss me. Part of me wanted him to. But he just pressed his forehead to mine. You're going to make it out, he said. We both are. And then we're having that dinner. And maybe a dozen more after that. That's a lot of expensive meals. I can afford it. He smiled. I'm a Mafia boss, remember? The moment broke when Victor called everyone together. Final check, he said. Everyone knows their assignments. We go in at 11 p.m. The nightclub will be crowded. Civilians everywhere. We do not hurt innocent people. Clear. Everyone nodded. Jung leaves for the server farm at the same time. She has a 2-hour window. If she's not out by 1 a.m., we assume she's been compromised and we extract anyway. Victor looked at Jung. You sure about this? I've been sure for 3 years. Jung checked her own weapons. Just make sure you keep Choi's people busy. I don't want them calling for backup while I'm inside their digital fortress. At 10:45 p.m. we moved out. 2 teams. One heading to the nightclub. One heading to the server farm. I was in the first SUV with Dante and 4 of his men. Victor was in the second with his crew. Jung went alone in a nondescript van full of technical equipment. The nightclub was called Exodus. Ironic name for a place that trapped people. Neon signs. Bass throbbing. Young people lined up outside hoping to get in. We didn't use the front door. Victor's intelligence had revealed a service entrance in the back. Deliveries. Stuff. Less security. We approached at exactly 11 p.m. 2 guards at the door. They saw us coming and reached for their weapons. Too slow. Dante dropped the first with a silenced shot. I took the second using a nerve strike my father taught me. He collapsed, unconscious but alive. We dragged them inside and secured them. Then we were in. The back hallways of Exodus were utilitarian. Concrete. Harsh lighting. Nothing like the glamorous club out front. We moved quickly, following the blueprints Jung had provided. Choi's office was on the 3rd floor. Private elevator. 2 more guards. This time they saw us in time to react. Gunfire erupted. Loud. Chaotic. So much for stealth. Move. Victor shouted. We rushed the guards' position. They had cover but we had numbers. Dante went left. I went right. Caught them in crossfire. They went down hard. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashing. The whole club knew we were here now. We've got maybe 5 minutes before reinforcements arrive, one of Victor's men said. Then we work fast. I kicked open the door to the stairs. Move. We raced up 3 floors. Behind us I could hear shouting. Gunfire. Victor's second team was engaging more guards on the ground floor. Buying us time. The 3rd floor was different. Luxury carpet. Art on the walls. This was where the real business happened. Where Choi conducted his evil operations in comfort. His office door was reinforced steel. Biometric lock. Stand back, Dante said. He placed a small explosive charge on the lock. Fire in the hole. We ducked. The charge blew. The door swung open. Inside, Choi was standing behind his desk with a gun pointed at us. 2 more guards flanked him. I was wondering when Adrian's daughter would come for me, Choi said in perfect English. Park Han said you'd be trouble. Drop the gun, I said, my own weapon trained on him. So you can torture me? Kill me? I don't think so. Choi's finger was on the trigger. I die here or I die later. At least this way it's quick. You don't have to die at all, I said, thinking fast. You could help us. Testify against Park Han. Witness protection. New life. Choi laughed. You think I'd betray him? He saved me. Gave me purpose when I had nothing. He made you a slave. A monster. He turned you into something your family would be ashamed of. Something flickered in Choi's eyes. Pain. Doubt. My family is dead, he said quietly. Park Han is all I have. Then you have nothing. I lowered my gun slightly, showing trust. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Help us stop him. Save the children he's hurting. Do one good thing to balance all the evil. For a moment I thought I'd reached him. Thought maybe he'd surrender. Then his radio crackled. A voice speaking rapid Korean. Choi's face changed. Hardened. They have your friend. The woman at the server farm. They're bringing her here. My heart stopped. Jung was captured. You're lying, Dante said. Am I? Park Han knew someone would try this eventually. He had people watching the server farm. Waiting. Your friend walked right into the trap. Choi smiled. He wants to make a trade. Her life for yours, Camila. This was falling apart. Everything we'd planned. Jung captured. Our assault compromised. What does he want? I asked. Alone. Downstairs in the main club. 5 minutes. If you don't show, he kills your friend. Then he kills everyone in this building. All those innocent clubbers you're so worried about. Their blood will be on your hands. I looked at Dante. His face was grim. It's a trap, he said. You go down there, you're dead. If I don't, Jung is dead. And dozens of civilians. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We also don't let innocent people die when we can prevent it. I made my decision. I'm going. Camila, no. Keep Choi here. Get what information you can from his computers. I'll handle Park Han. You can't fight an army alone. I'm not going to fight. I'm going to negotiate. Buy time for you to finish the mission. I headed for the door. 5 minutes, Dante. That's all I need. Then you come down with everything we've got and we end this. I didn't wait for him to argue. Just left. Ran down the stairs toward the main floor of the club. The music was still pounding. People still dancing. They had no idea what was happening above them. No idea their lives hung in the balance. I emerged into the club through a side door. The crowd was thick. Hot. Bodies pressed together in the dark with neon lights flashing. In the center of the floor a space had been cleared. Park Han stood there with Young kneeling in front of him. Hands bound. Gun to her head. She was bleeding from a cut above her eye, but her expression was defiant. Surrounding them were at least 20 armed men. Professional. Alert. This was Park Han's personal guard. Park Han himself was nothing special to look at. Mid-50s. Average height. Expensive suit. But his eyes were cold. Dead. The eyes of a man who'd killed his empathy long ago. Camila Reeves, he called out over the music. Someone cut the sound. The club went quiet except for confused murmuring. Adrian's daughter. You look like him. Same eyes. Same stubborn expression. I walked forward slowly. Hands visible. No weapon drawn. Let her go, I said. This is between us. Is it? Because I think this is between me and your dead father. You're just the epilogue. Park Han pressed the gun harder against Young's head. She didn't flinch. He cost me money. Destroyed operations. Made me look weak. Now I'm going to erase his legacy. Starting with you. My father humiliated you. I understand. But killing me won't change that. It'll just make you the man who murdered an unarmed woman. How does that help your reputation? Park Han considered that. You're smarter than I expected. Adrian trained you well. He taught me that monsters like you are really just scared children with guns. Bullies who hide behind violence because you have nothing else. His face darkened. Careful, girl. I've killed people for less. I'm sure you have. But I'm betting you've never faced someone who wasn't afraid of you. Someone who's already lost everything that matters. Someone with nothing to lose. I was stalling. Counting seconds. How long had it been? 3 minutes? Come on, Dante. Get what we need and get down here. Nothing to lose makes you dangerous, Park Han said. But it also makes you reckless. Predictable. He gestured and 2 of his men grabbed me. Pulled my arms behind my back. I've been doing this for 30 years, Camila. I've seen every play. Every trick. You're not special. Maybe not. But I am right. I struggled, but they held me tight. And deep down you know it. You know what you do is evil. You know you're damned. That's why you can't sleep at night. Why you surround yourself with guards. Why you keep insurance files on everyone. Because you're terrified that one day someone will do to you what you've done to so many others. For just a moment, something human flickered in his eyes. Fear. Doubt. Then it was gone. Kill them both, he ordered. The guards raised their weapons. This was it. I'd failed. Jung would die. I'd die. Everything my father built would be destroyed. Then the lights went out. Gunfire erupted in the darkness. Screaming. Chaos. I felt the hands holding me release and I dropped to the floor. Emergency lights kicked in. Dim. Flashing. In the strobing light, I saw Dante and Victor's teams pouring in from multiple entrances. Saw Park Han's guards falling. Saw Jung break free and grab a fallen weapon. I rolled toward where Park Han had been standing. He was running for a back exit. Trying to escape. Not this time. I sprinted after him. Caught him just as he reached the door. Grabbed his jacket and spun him around. You're not leaving, I said. He tried to hit me. Telegraphed. Slow. I blocked easily and struck back. My father's training flowing through me. Every move precise. Controlled. Park Han went down hard. I stood over him, breathing heavy, fists clenched. It's over, I said. Your guards are dead. Your operation is finished. The FBI has your records. Everyone you've ever hurt is about to get justice. You can't prove anything, he spat. Blood on his lips. I have lawyers. Connections. I'll be out in a week. Maybe. But you'll never sleep soundly again. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Wondering when someone you hurt will come for revenge. Wondering if today is the day it all catches up to you. I crouched down to his level. That's the curse of being a monster. Eventually, someone brings the reckoning. Police sirens were approaching. Lots of them. Dante and Victor had tipped them off. Sent them the evidence. Coordinated the timing. Park Han would be arrested tonight. Charged with dozens of crimes. Face justice. It wasn't enough. Could never be enough for all the lives he'd destroyed. But it was something. I left him there. Bleeding. broken. Waiting for the police. Found Young helping secure the last of the guards. You okay? I asked. She nodded. Better now. Thanks for the rescue. You walked into a trap for this mission. Thank you for taking that risk. My sister would have done the same. Young looked around at the chaos. This is just the beginning, you know. Park Han was one operation. There are dozens more. Hundreds maybe. I know. I felt tired suddenly. The adrenaline wearing off. One at a time. We'll take them down one at a time. Dante appeared beside me. We need to leave. Police will have questions we can't answer. He was right. We just shot up a nightclub. Killed people. Even if it was justified, there would be complications. We extracted quickly. Out through service exits. Into waiting vehicles. Drove away as police swarmed the building. Back at the warehouse, everyone collapsed. Exhausted. Wounded. But alive. We did it, Victor said. He sounded surprised. We actually did it. Phase 1, Young corrected. But yes. We stopped Park Han. Saved those children. Made a difference. I sat down heavily on a crate. My hands were shaking. Post-combat crash. Dante sat beside me. You were incredible. The way you talked to Park Han. Bought time. Stayed calm. Adrian would have been so proud. I was terrified the entire time. Courage isn't the absence of fear, he reminded me. Yeah, you said that already. I leaned my head on his shoulder. Too tired to maintain distance. We should probably talk about this. About us. Later. When we're not covered in blood and running from the law. That might be our whole lives now. Then we'll make time between the blood and the running. I laughed. Exhausted. Slightly hysterical. But genuine. We'd survived. Done the impossible. Started something that could actually make a difference. My father's mission wasn't finished. But it was continued. And that was enough for now. 3 days later we were still in Seattle. Hiding. Waiting for things to calm down. Park Han had been arrested. The FBI had raided his properties. Frozen his assets. The media was having a field day with the story. Powerful businessman revealed as trafficking kingpin. It was everywhere. But there were complications. Some of the evidence is being suppressed, Young said, scrolling through news feeds. Park Han's lawyers are arguing illegal search and seizure. Chain of custody issues. Without the server data presented properly in court, they might get the charges reduced. How is that possible? I asked. We handed them everything. Biz were criminals too. The evidence was obtained through breaking and entering. Assault. Effectively a military operation on U.S. soil. Victor was looking at legal documents. A good lawyer can argue it's all fruit of the poisonous tree. Inadmissible. So he might walk? The thought made me sick. Reduced charges more likely. Money laundering. Tax evasion. He'd do 5 years instead of life. Young looked frustrated. My sister died for 5 years in minimum security. Dante was quiet, thinking. What if we get someone inside to testify? Someone with direct knowledge who obtained it legally. Who? Everyone in his organization is loyal or dead, Victor pointed out. Not everyone. We all looked at him. Choi, Dante said. He's in custody. Facing his own charges. If we could convince him to testify against Park Han, it would strengthen the case. Make the other evidence admissible. Choi would never betray Park Han, Young said. We discussed this. He might if he knew the truth about Park Han. About what he really thinks of his loyal soldiers. Dante pulled up a file. When we grabbed Choi's computer, we found encrypted communications. Personal emails between Park Han and his inner circle. Want to know what he said about Choi? He read from the screen. Choi is useful but expendable. A dog that does tricks. When he becomes a liability, we put him down. The words hung in the air. Park Han wrote that? Young asked. 6 months ago. Along with contingency plans to eliminate Choi if he ever became a threat to the organization. I understood what Dante was suggesting. We show this to Choi. Let him see what his loyalty bought him. Exactly. Show him that Park Han never cared. That he was always going to be disposable. Dante closed the laptop. It might be enough to break his faith. Make him realize testifying is his only path to redemption. Or he kills himself rather than face what he's done, Victor said darkly. That's a risk. But it's one worth taking. I stood. How do we get access to him? He's in federal custody. High security. They won't just let us walk in for a chat. Jung thought for a moment. Unless we have a legitimate reason. Like being his lawyer. He already has lawyers. Public defenders probably. Then we become something else. Family. Someone with legal visitation rights. Jung smiled. I could be his sister. We're both Korean. Similar age. I claim I just learned he was arrested and want to see him. They'll check your identity. Run backgrounds. Let them. I have multiple identities. Some of them are completely clean. Law-abiding citizens with no criminal history. Jung was already pulling up documents on her phone. Give me 2 hours and I'll be Young Choi, concerned sister visiting her wayward brother. It was risky. But everything about this was risky. 2 hours later, Jung walked into the federal building dressed conservatively. Hair pulled back. Minimal makeup. Looking like a worried sibling instead of a dangerous operative. We watched from a surveillance van parked across the street. Dante had hacked into the building's security feeds. Not legal, but nothing we did was legal anymore. Jung went through security. Metal detectors. ID check. They scanned her credentials and nodded her through. She's in, Dante said. Now we waited. On screen, we watched Jung being led through corridors to a secure visitation room. Choi was brought in, hands cuffed, looking defeated. When he saw Jung, confusion crossed his face. He didn't recognize her as his sister because she wasn't his sister. But before he could say anything, Jung started speaking in rapid Korean. We couldn't hear through the glass, but body language said enough. She was telling him something urgent. Showing him documents. Choi's expression changed. Disbelief. Anger. Betrayal. He read the documents. Saw Park Han's words. Saw the contingency plans for his elimination. His hands started shaking. Jung kept talking. Calm. Insistent. Offering something. A way out. Choi looked at the guards. At the cameras. Jung. Then he nodded. I think we got him, Victor said from beside me in the van. Jung stood. Spoke to the guards. They took Choi back to his cell. 20 minutes later, Jung emerged from the building. Got in a taxi. Disappeared into Seattle traffic. We picked her up 3 blocks away. Well, I asked as she climbed into the van. He'll testify. Took some convincing, but once he saw those emails, something broke in him. The foundation of his entire identity shattered. Jung looked satisfied. He wants one thing in exchange. What? Witness protection for his mother. She's in a nursing home in Seoul. He's been sending her money for years. Wants to make sure Park Han can't retaliate against her. Can we arrange that? I looked at Dante. I have contacts with the FBI. People who owe me favors. I'll make it happen. Then we're good. Choi testifies. Park Han goes away for life. The trafficking operation is destroyed. Jung leaned back in her seat. Phase 1 complete. But I was thinking about what she said earlier. About dozens more operations. Hundreds maybe. What about the others? I asked. The people Park Han supplied to. The buyers. They're still out there. The server data has all their information, Jung said. Names. Transaction records. Communications. The FBI is building cases against everyone involved. Will they actually prosecute? Or will powerful people make it disappear? The question hung heavy. We all knew the answer. Some would face justice. Many wouldn't. Money and connections bought protection. We can't save everyone, Victor said quietly. Can't fix the whole system. But we can keep fighting. Keep making it harder for these operations to exist. Keep saving who we can. Is that enough? I looked at him. My father died trying to do more. Trying to change the system from inside. It killed him. Your father saved hundreds of lives. Maybe thousands. We'll never know how many trafficking routes he disrupted. How many children he saved by sabotaging operations. Was it enough to justify his methods? His compromises? Victor shook his head. I don't know. But I know he made a difference. And that's all any of us can do. Thought about my father. About his journal. His letters. The complicated legacy he left behind. He wasn't a hero in the traditional sense. He'd done bad things. Worked with criminals. Gotten his hands dirty. But he'd also saved lives. Protected the innocent when he could. Tried to build something better from the ruins of a broken world. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that's all anyone could do. Try. Fail. Try again. Keep fighting even when victory seemed impossible. So what now? I asked. We just go home. Pretend we're normal people. Are you normal people? Jung asked. Because I'm not. Haven't been for years. This is what I do. Hunt monsters. Make them pay. I'm okay with that being my life. I'm not normal either, Dante admitted. I run a criminal organization. Make money from illegal activities. I tell myself I'm better than others like me. That I have rules. But at the end of the day I'm still a criminal. As am I, Victor said. Worse probably. I've done things I can never atone for. Hurt people who didn't deserve it. I make peace with that by trying to do better. Trying to protect more than I destroy. They were all looking at me now. Waiting for my answer. What was I? Who did I want to be? I'd spent 4 years thinking I was just a waitress. Someone hiding from her father's world. Pretending I could be normal. But the truth was I'd never been normal. My father had trained me from childhood. Taught me to fight. To strategize. To survive in a world most people never saw. I was his daughter. A warrior. A protector. Someone who couldn't stand by while innocents suffered. I'm not normal either, I said finally. I'm someone who finishes what she starts. Who protects people who can't protect themselves. Who makes monsters face consequences. Then you're one of us, Jung said. Welcome to the family. It was a strange family. A mafia boss. A former intelligence agent turned vigilante. A crime lord trying to reform. And me. Adrian Reeves's daughter. Heir to his complicated legacy. But it was my family now. The only one I had. What's next then? I asked. Another operation? Another trafficking ring? Actually, Dante said slowly, I have a different idea. Something your father and I discussed once. A way to use my resources for more than just our survival. I'm listening. A network. Safe houses. Transportation routes. Financial support. But instead of moving drugs or weapons, we move people who need help. Abuse victims. Trafficking survivors. Witnesses who need protection. People the system fails. He looked at me. We could build something good from all this bad. Something your father would have wanted. The idea sparked something in me. Hope maybe. Purpose. We'd still be criminals, Victor pointed out. Some of the best people I know are criminals, I said. What matters is what we do with the power we have. Spoken like Adrian's daughter. Victor smiled. I'm in. My resources. My network. Let's build something that matters. I'll contribute intelligence, Jung said. Identify operations that need stopping. People who need saving. Keep us focused on the mission. And I'll lead, I said. The words came out confident. Certain. Not because I'm the best fighter or the smartest strategist, but because I understand what my father was trying to do. And I'm going to finish it. We spent the rest of the night planning. Not just the next operation but the bigger picture. The infrastructure. The organization. The mission statement. By morning we had something. Not perfect. But real. A network dedicated to fighting trafficking. Protecting the vulnerable. Using criminal resources for justice when the legal system failed. We called it the Reeves Foundation. In memory of my father. In honor of what he tried to build. It felt right. As the sun rose over Seattle, I stood looking out at the city. Dante came to stand beside me. You okay? He asked. I think so. It's strange. A week ago I was just trying to survive. Trying to find out who killed my father. Now I'm running an organization. Leading people. Making decisions that affect lives. Your father always said you were capable of more than you knew. Stronger than you believed. He also said I should stay out of his world. Live a normal life. He wanted to protect you. But he also prepared you. Because deep down he knew that one day you'd have to make a choice. His world or the normal world. Dante turned to face me. You chose. I'm glad you did. Are you? This complicates things between us. I'm your boss now essentially. You think I care about that? He smiled. I've been taking orders from strong women my entire life. My mother ran our family with an iron fist. Your father taught me to respect power regardless of gender. If anything, this makes you more attractive. That's a weird thing to say. I'm a weird guy. He stepped closer. But I meant what I said. When this settles, when we have a moment to breathe, I'm taking you to dinner. Still planning on me ordering the expensive thing? I'm counting on it. This time when he leaned in, I didn't stop him. Didn't pull away. Just let it happen. The kiss was gentle. Careful. Full of promise for something more when the time was right. When we separated, he smiled. Worth waiting for. Don't get cocky. We've got work to do. Always work to do. But that's okay. We'll do it together. Together. I liked the sound of that. For the first time in 4 years, I felt like I had a path forward. A purpose. A family. My father was gone. But his mission lived on. Through me. Through us. And that was enough. 2 months later, we were back in our home city. The Reeves Foundation was operational. 16 safe houses. 40 people on payroll. Dozens of victims helped. 3 trafficking rings disrupted. We were making a difference. Small. Incremental. But real. Park Han-'s trial was approaching. Choi had testified in preliminary hearings. The case was solid. The media coverage intense. It looked like justice would finally be served. Then everything went wrong. I was in our headquarters, a converted office building that served as base of operations, when Dante burst in looking panicked. We have a problem. A big one. What happened? Choi is dead. Killed in his cell last night. They're calling it suicide, but the wounds say otherwise. My blood went cold. Park Han had him killed? Worse. Park Han escaped custody 3 hours ago. Somehow got through federal security. Killed 2 guards. Vanished. This couldn't be happening. We'd won. We'd stopped him. How was he free? He had help, Victor said, appearing behind Dante. Inside help. Someone with access. 40. We've been compromised. Who? Jung demanded. She was checking weapons, preparing for war. I don't know yet. But whoever it is has resources. Power. They broke a high-value prisoner out of federal custody like it was nothing. Victor pulled up security footage. Look at this. The video showed Park Han-'s cell. 3 guards approaching. They opened the door. No struggle. No fight. Just walked him out like it was a scheduled transfer. Those aren't his guards, Dante said. Look at their badges. Those numbers don't match any active federal agents. Fake IDs. Professional job. Military precision. Victor froze the frame. This is bigger than Park Han. Someone wanted him free. Someone with serious connections. The buyers, I realized. The people on his client list. They're protecting their investment. More than that, they're sending a message. That we can't touch them. That they're above justice. Jung was angry. Controlled fury in every word. We need to find Park Han before he disappears completely. He won't disappear, I said. Something my father taught me clicking into place. He'll come for us. For me specifically. This is personal now. Then we use that, Dante said. Set a trap. Make ourselves visible. Let him come. That's exactly what he wants. He's got nothing to lose now. No organization. No protection. Just revenge. Victor shook his head. He'll sacrifice everything to hurt us. Then we end it. Tonight. One final confrontation. I felt calm. Focused. Where would he go? Where does he have resources? Jung pulled up files. He had a private estate outside the city. Off the books. Hidden under shell companies. If he's anywhere, it's there. Then that's where we go. We spent 2 hours preparing. Gathering everyone. Every fighter. Every resource. This was the final battle. Win or die trying. As the sun set, we drove toward Park Han's estate. 10 vehicles. 50 people. Armed and ready. The estate was massive. 30 acres of forested land surrounding a modern mansion. High walls. Security systems. A fortress. We parked a mile away and approached on foot. Stealth was our only advantage. But as we got closer, something felt wrong. Too quiet. No guards. No patrols. Like the place was abandoned. It's a trap, Dante whispered. Obviously, I whispered back. But we don't have a choice. He's expecting us to know it's a trap and come anyway. We split into teams, surrounding the mansion from multiple angles. Wait for my signal. Then breach simultaneously. I took point with Dante and Young. Victor led the second team. Everyone else spread out in support positions. We reached the main entrance. The door was unlocked. Open even. Inviting us inside. I pushed it open slowly. Darkness inside. Then lights clicked on, revealing the main hall. Empty except for one person. Park Han stood in the center, hands behind his back. Smiling. Camila Reeves. I was hoping you'd come. His voice was calm. Pleased even. It's over, Park Han. You're surrounded. Gunned. Surrender now and maybe you live. You think this is about survival? About winning? He laughed. I've already lost everything. My organization. My reputation. My freedom. All because of you and your dead father. Because of your crimes, I corrected. You did this to yourself. Perhaps. But if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. He pulled his hands from behind his back. Holding a detonator. This entire building is wired to explode. Enough C4 to level everything within 100 yards. Your friends. Everyone outside. My heart stopped. You're willing to die just to kill us? I'm already dead. The people who helped me escape made that clear. I'm a liability now. Expendable. So yes. I'm willing to die if it means erasing Adrian's legacy permanently. I could see it in his eyes. The absolute conviction. He would push that button. What do you want? I asked, stalling. Trying to think. I want you to know something before we all die. Your father wasn't the hero you think he was. He worked for me. For 2 years. Helped me expand my operations. Only turned when he realized the scope. When he saw what we were really doing. You're lying. Am I? Check his journal. Really check. The dates match. The operations align. Adrian Reeves helped traffic 50 children before he developed a conscience. Park Han's smile was vicious. You've been avenging a monster. Fighting in the name of someone just as guilty as me. No. But doubt was creeping in. As I had seen those entries. Had questions about some of the dates. The transactions. Yes. Your father was my partner until he betrayed me. That's why I killed him. Not because he was stopping us. Because he built it with us then tried to burn it down. Park Han's finger hovered over the button. His blood is just as dirty as mine. And yours will be too. Behind me I felt Dante tense. Ready to act. But what could we do? Rush Park Han? He'd trigger the explosion. Back off? He'd trigger it anyway. He's lying, Dante said quietly. Don't listen to him. Is he though? I looked at Park Han. Prove it. Show me evidence. I don't need to prove anything. You already suspect it's true. That doubt. That uncertainty. That's Adrian's real legacy. Not heroism. Moral ambiguity. Park Han raised the detonator higher. But don't worry. In a few seconds none of it will matter. Wait. Jung stepped forward. You want revenge against Adrian's legacy? Killing his daughter doesn't accomplish that. It makes her a martyr. Makes your organization's downfall her victory. Park Han paused. Considering. But let her live with the truth, Jung continued. Let her spend the rest of her life knowing her father was complicit. That everything she's done is based on a lie. That's real revenge. I realized what Jung was doing. Buying time. Appealing to his ego. Park Han lowered the detonator slightly. You're smart. For a traitor. I learned from the best. Including Adrian. Jung moved closer. You want her destroyed? Destroy her faith. Her purpose. Her reason for fighting. That hurts more than death. Perhaps. Park Han was thinking. Weighing options. That's when I saw it. A red laser dot on his chest. Sniper. One of our people outside had a shot. I caught Dante's eye. He saw it too. Gave a tiny nod. We just needed Park Han distracted for one more second. You're right, I said, drawing his attention. My father wasn't perfect. Maybe he did help you. Made mistakes. Got his hands dirty. But he also spent the last years of his life trying to fix those mistakes. Trying to save people. That's what matters. Not where you start. But where you finish. Touching. But ultimately meaningless. Is it? Because you started powerful. Untouchable. And you're finishing alone. Desperate. Holding a detonator because it's the only power you have left. My father started dirty and finished a hero. You started strong and you're finishing pathetic. Park Han's face twisted with rage. The detonator rose again. The sniper fired. The shot took Park Han in the shoulder. Not fatal but enough. He dropped the detonator. I dove forward. Caught it before it hit the ground. Disarmed it with shaking hands. Dante and Jung were already on Park Han, securing him, making sure he couldn't trigger any backup systems. Clear. I shouted. Building is clear. Teams poured in from every entrance, checking for additional explosives, securing the scene. Park Han was on the ground, bleeding, defeated. You lose, I told him. My father's legacy isn't shame. It's this. People willing to fight, willing to make things better, willing to finish what he started. His blood is still dirty, Park Han spat. Maybe. But mine isn't. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure his mistakes get corrected. That the people he couldn't save get justice. That monsters like you never hurt anyone again. Police sirens approached. Real police this time. Federal agents we'd tipped off. They'd take Park Han into custody. Real custody. Maximum security. No more escapes. As they led him away, he looked at me one last time. You're just like him. Willing to do anything. Compromise anything. You think you're different but you're not. I know, I said quietly. And I'm okay with that. Because being like him means finishing what he started. No matter the cost. Park Han was loaded into an armored vehicle and driven away. This time he wouldn't escape. Couldn't escape. His story was over. But mine was just beginning. 3 months later I stood in front of my father's grave. Fresh flowers. Clean headstone. Peaceful. We did it, Dad, I said quietly. Park Han is in Supermax. Life sentence. No parole. The trafficking operation is destroyed. Dozens of children saved. Your mission is complete. The wind rustled through the trees. Birds sang. It was a beautiful day. Jung told me what Park Han said. About you working with him. Helping him. I touched the headstone. I checked your journal. Verified the dates. It was true. You did help him. For 2 years. I took a breath. Centered myself. But I also found something else. Bank records. Showing where that money really went. To shelters. Safe houses. Therapy programs for trafficking survivors. You took money from monsters and used it to heal their victims. That's the part Park Han didn't mention. The part he didn't understand. I sat down on the grass. Just talking to my father like I used to. You weren't perfect. You made compromises that would horrify most people. But you also saved lives. Made impossible choices in a broken system. Did more good than harm. I smiled. I'm trying to do the same. Continue your work. But better. More openly. With less compromise. The Reef's Foundation is growing. We've helped 87 people in 3 months. Shut down 4 operations. Made genuine change. And we're just getting started. Behind me, footsteps approached. He'd given me space but stayed close. Boys. Hey, he said softly. You ready? Almost. I stood. Brushed grass off my pants. One more thing. I pulled out a letter. One I'd written last night. Placed it on the headstone. This is everything I learned. Everything I'm doing. All my plans. So you know I'm okay. That I'm finishing what you started. That your sacrifice mattered. Dante's hand found mine. Warm. Thought. He'd be proud, Dante said. Of everything you've accomplished. Everything you've become. I hope so. I looked at him. You ready for tonight? Our first official date? I've been ready for months. We'd been too busy to do anything normal. But finally things had calmed enough for something simple. Dinner. Conversation. Being 2 people instead of 2 warriors. No guns, I said. That's the rule. No guns, he agreed. Just food. Wine. And us figuring out what this is. I know what this is. I squeezed his hand. It's complicated. Dangerous. Probably a terrible idea. Absolutely. But also the most real thing I've felt in years. He kissed me there. In the cemetery. In front of my father's grave. And somehow it felt right. Like my father would approve. would want me to find happiness amid the chaos. When we separated, Jung was walking toward us. Victor beside her. Our strange family gathering. Sorry to interrupt, Jung said, not looking sorry at all. But we have a situation. What kind of situation? I asked. The good kind. We got a tip. Another trafficking operation. Bigger than Park Hans. International connections. They're moving children through the port next week. How good is the intelligence? Dante asked. Solid. Multiple sources. Verified. Victor pulled up files on his tablet. This is real. And if we move fast, we can stop it. I looked at my father's grave one more time. What do you think, Dad? One more fight. The wind rustled the trees again. Like an answer. All right, I said to the group. Let's plan this. But after my date. Some things are sacred. Everyone laughed. The tension breaking. We walked back to the cars together. Jung and Victor debating strategy. Dante holding my hand. Me feeling more certain than I'd felt in years. My father had built something from darkness. A network. A mission. A purpose. Now it was mine to carry forward. To expand. To make better. The Reeves Foundation would grow. Would save more people. Fight more battles. Make genuine change. And I would lead it. Not because I was Adrian Reeves's daughter. But because I chose to be. That night, Dante took me to a small Italian restaurant. Nothing fancy. Just good food and quiet conversation. So, he said over wine. Where do we go from here? Honestly, I have no idea. I'm making this up as I go. That's terrifying and inspiring in equal measure. Welcome to my life. I smiled. But I know one thing. I'm not doing this alone anymore. I've got you. Peter. A whole team of people who believe in what we're building. We believe in you, Dante corrected. You're the reason this works. The reason we're united. That's a lot of pressure. You can handle it. I've seen you handle worse. He was right. I'd faced down mafia bosses. Traffickers. Killers. I'd survived betrayal and violence and impossible choices. I could handle leading people. Making decisions. Building something meaningful. Hey, I said. Let's do this. All of it. The foundation. The mission. Us figuring out whatever this is between us. To new beginnings, Dante raised his glass. To finishing what my father started, I countered. We clinked glasses. Drank. Smiled. Outside, the city hummed with life. Somewhere people were suffering. Needing help. Hoping someone would save them. And we would. The Reeves Foundation. My team. My family. One operation at a time. One life saved at a time. Making the world slightly better. Slightly safer. It wasn't perfect. Would never be perfect. But it was something. And in a dark world, something good was everything. As Dante walked me home later, past midnight, under stars, I felt at peace. For the first time since my father died. Thank you, I said. For everything. For honoring your promise. For becoming more than an obligation. Thank you for letting me in. For trusting me. For giving me a purpose beyond just survival. We stopped outside my apartment. The one I'd moved into after leaving the warehouse. Small. Simple. Come up. I asked. Not tonight. Tonight was about us taking things slow. Being normal. He kissed my forehead. Tomorrow we can go back to being dangerous criminals running an illegal vigilante organization. But tonight, we were just two people on a date. And I want to remember it that way. I understood. Appreciated it even. Tomorrow then. Tomorrow. I watched him drive away. Then went upstairs to my apartment. Where case files waited. Plans to finalize. A mission to continue. But for tonight I was just Camila. A woman who'd survived. Who'd fought back. Who'd found purpose in tragedy. And tomorrow? Tomorrow I'd be Adrian Reeves's daughter again. Leader of the foundation. Fighter. Protector. But both versions were me. Both mattered. Both had value. I opened my laptop. Began reviewing the new intelligence about the port operation. Planning. Strategizing. Preparing. There was work to do. Always work to do. But now I had people to help. A purpose. A future. And somewhere I liked to think my father was watching. Proud of who I'd become. What I was building. Rest easy, Dad, I whispered to the empty room. I've got this. I've got everything. Outside the city slept, unaware of the battles being fought in the shadows. The lives being saved. The difference being made. But that was okay. Heroes didn't need recognition. They just needed to keep fighting. And that's exactly what I'd do. For as long as it took. However hard it became. As I was Camila Reeves. And my story was just beginning. Now before you go, I want to know. How did that hit you? What part of Camila's journey stayed with you? Was it the moment she flipped the Mafia boss? The devastation when she learned the truth about Victor? The impossible choice at the nightclub? Drop a comment. Tell me your favorite moment. And hey, if you're watching from somewhere specific, let me know where you're from. I love knowing this story reached you. Also, that like button. Hit it. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Share this with someone who loves a good revenge tale. And remember, justice isn't always pretty. But it's always worth fighting for. See you in the next one.